The lawyer cleared his throat, his words slicing through the opulent library like a guillotine. To my granddaughter Sophia Harrington, I bequeath the majority shares of Harrington Global and the family estate, but only if she publicly recognizes her live-in partner, Leah, as her wife and welcomes her as the new daughter-in-law of this family. Gasps echoed off the oak-paneled walls. Sophia's blood ran cold as every head snapped toward her, then to the woman standing rigidly by the French doors, Leah Thompson, the head gardener who'd been tending the estate's grounds for 3 years. The woman Sophia had hidden away in the shadows of her ambition for far too long. The family lawyer, Mr. Ellison, adjusted his glasses, his face impassive as if he hadn't just dropped a bomb that could level the entire Harrington empire. Sophia felt the room spin. This was supposed to be a straightforward reading of her grandfather's will, the man who'd built Harrington Global into a real estate powerhouse from nothing. He died 2 weeks ago at 92, leaving behind a legacy of cutthroat deals and ironclad control. Sophia, at 32, had positioned herself as the obvious successor, vice president of operations, the one who'd closed the biggest acquisitions, the one who'd kept the company thriving amid market volatility and aggressive buyout attempts from rivals like Vanguard Properties. But this clause, it was a trap, or a gift. She couldn't decide which. Her brother Marcus, 35, leaned forward, his face twisted in fury. This is insane. Grandfather must have been senile. Leah? The gardener? Sophia. Tell me this is some kind of joke. Emily, their younger sister, 28, covered her mouth, eyes wide with a mix of shock and pity. Sophia. You've been living with her? All this time. Leah's green eyes met Sophia's across the room. A silent plea mixed with the quiet strength that had drawn Sophia to her in the first place. No words passed between them, but the message was clear. The secret was out, and the consequences were just beginning. Sophia straightened her tailored blazer, forcing her voice steady. It's not a joke, Marcus. And it's none of your business how I live my life. But even as she said it, her mind raced. Publicly acknowledging Leah meant coming out in a boardroom full of old-money conservatives who still whispered about traditional values in their golf club deals. It could tank the stock price by 15% overnight. It could invite lawsuits from shareholders claiming moral clauses or some nonsense. And worst of all, it could hand Marcus the ammunition he needed to challenge her leadership in the upcoming CEO vote. The lawyer continued reading the rest of the will, but Sophia barely heard it. Her grandfather had known. How? The old man had always been sharp, but she'd been so careful. Late-night drives to the guest house, stolen moments in the garden after dark. Leah had started as a contractor after the hurricane 3 years ago, devastated the estate's historic gardens. Sophia had overseen the restoration personally, and somewhere between discussing rose varieties and late-night planning sessions over coffee in the greenhouse, love had bloomed in secret. Leah wasn't just the gardener. She was the one who grounded Sophia, the one who listened when the pressure of the C-suite became too much. But love in their world was a liability. As the meeting adjourned, Marcus cornered Sophia in the hallway. You think this will fly? The board will laugh you out of the room. And if you think I'm letting some gardener waltz in as daughter-in-law and claim part of what I've worked for, you're delusional. Sophia met his gaze coldly. The will is ironclad, brother. Grandfather made sure of it. Fight it if you want, but you'll lose. Inside, though, doubt not at her. To claim the empire, she had to embrace the clause. But doing so meant dragging Leah into the spotlight, the very thing she'd sworn to protect her from. Leah had her own dreams. Expanding the gardens into a public conservancy, a passion project that didn't involve corporate sharks. Exposing their relationship could destroy that too. Later that evening, in the privacy of the master bedroom, Sophia found Leah packing a small bag. Don't, Sophia whispered, reaching for her hand. We can figure this out. Leah pulled away gently, her voice soft but firm. Your family just rejected me. Sophomore called me a gold digger without saying the words. And you didn't defend us. Not really. The words stung because they were true. Sophia had deflected, not declared. Ambition had won the first round. I need time to strategize. One wrong move and Marcus takes everything. Leah sighed, her fingers tracing the edge of Sophia's jaw. I love you, but I won't be your secret forever. The will gives us a chance, use it. As Leah left for the guest house, Sophia stared at the family portrait on the wall, her grandfather's eyes seeming to judge her. The power struggle had just begun, and the first casualty was already the trust between them. The next morning Sophia drove to the corporate headquarters in downtown Seattle, the rain-slick streets mirroring her turbulent thoughts. Harrington Global was more than a company. It was a dynasty, with properties across the U.S. and international deals that could make or break political careers. Marcus had been gunning for the CEO position for years, using his connections in politics to undermine her. Now, with the will's condition, he had the perfect weapon. At the emergency board meeting, the whispers started immediately. "Did you hear about Sophia? The gardener?" The words reached her ears as she took her seat at the head of the long mahogany table. She kept her face neutral, but inside the conflict raged. To comply with the will, she had to announce the relationship today or risk losing the shares entirely. But Leah had begged for time, and Sophia agreed, deciding to delay the public declaration by claiming the clause needed legal review. Marcus seized the moment. This is a clear conflict of interest. Sophia's personal life is now a liability to the company. Vanguard Properties is circling with a hostile takeover bid. We need stable leadership, not scandal. The board members nodded, their conservative leanings evident in the tight set of their jaws. Sophia countered with facts. Quarterly earnings up 8% under her watch, 3 new developments in California. But the damage was done. The vote for interim CEO control was postponed, giving Marcus room to maneuver. Back at the estate that afternoon, Sophia found Leah pruning roses in the west garden, her hands steady despite the tension in her shoulders. "I bought us a week," Sophia said, her tone measured. "Just until the board stabilizes. Then we'll make the announcement together." Leah set down the shears, wiping her hands on her jeans. "A week? Or another month? Soph, your grandfather gave us the key. Why are you still hiding me like I'm something to be ashamed of?" Sophia looked away toward the mansion where her family waited for dinner. "Because one misstep and we lose everything. The company employs 2,000 people. Our conservancy project needs the Harrington name intact. This isn't just about us." The words came out colder than intended. Leah's expression hardened, but she nodded. "Fine. But every day you delay, it feels like you're choosing the empire over me." She turned back to the roses, the snip of the shears punctuating the silence. That evening the family dinner was a battlefield disguised as civility. Marcus raised his glass. "To the new daughter-in-law. Or should we say the groundskeeper?" Emily tried to smooth things over, but the undercurrent was clear. Acceptance was forced, not genuine. Sophia sat beside Leah, their hands brushing under the table, but the contact felt fragile. Later, alone in the study, Sophia reviewed legal documents. The will's clause was airtight. Public recognition within 30 days or the shares reverted to a trust for charity. Time was running out, and Marcus had already filed a motion to contest mental competency. Sophia made her first calculated move that night. She instructed the estate manager to reassign Leah to a secondary garden project farther from the main house. It was logical. Keep her out of sight while Sophia worked the board. But when Leah received the memo the next morning, the look in her eyes was pure betrayal. "You did this?" she asked quietly. Sophia didn't deny it. Survival demanded distance, even if it cost her the woman she loved. The cause was clear. Protect the inheritance. The effect was immediate. Leah moved her things to the guest cottage without another word. By the end of the week, the boardroom tension had escalated into open warfare. Vanguard Properties leaked rumors to the press about instability at the top, and stock dipped 3 points. Marcus called an emergency session, presenting a dossier on Leah's background, small-town origins, no Ivy League degree, nothing but a horticulture certification. "This is the woman we're supposed to welcome as family? She's a liability." Sophia countered with poise. "Grandfather chose this path. His will is law. Fighting it wastes resources. We need to fend off Vanguard." She had spent the previous night forging alliances, promising key members board seats in exchange for support. It worked barely. The motion to contest was tabled, but the damage to her reputation was done. Whispers followed her everywhere. That afternoon she drove to the secondary garden site where Leah was working alone under gray skies. "I had no choice," Sophia said, stepping out of the car. Marcus is watching every move. Leah wiped sweat from her brow, her voice steady but pained. You always have a choice, sophomore. You chose to push me farther away instead of standing beside me. The family calls me daughter-in-law to my face and servant behind my back. And you let it happen. Sophia reached for her, but Leah stepped back. The rejection stung more than any boardroom loss. Leah, please. Once I secure the CEO position, everything changes. We'll go public on our terms. Leah shook her head. Your terms always come first. I love you, but I won't wait forever while you calculate the cost of us. She turned back to the soil, leaving Sophia standing in the rain. Back at headquarters, Sophia made another cold decision. She leaked a sanitized version of the will to a trusted journalist, framing the clause as a progressive legacy move. The article hit the wires that evening. Harrington Patriarch's final wish. Love over legacy? It bought goodwill with younger shareholders but enraged Marcus. He stormed into her office the next morning. You think this helps? Now the entire industry sees us as weak. Sophia smiled thinly. It neutralizes your attack. The board loves positive press. The move was ruthless but effective. Marcus's support eroded overnight. Yet that night, when Sophia tried to call Leah, the line went to voicemail. The distance she'd engineered was working too well. Internal conflict tore at her. Ambition demanded these sacrifices, but love whispered that each one was irreparable. The following days blurred into strategy sessions and late-night reviews. Sophia secured 2 critical votes by promising expanded development rights near the estate, rights that would require clearing part of Leah's cherished rose garden. She signed the papers without consulting Leah. Cause and effect were brutally clear. Protect the empire at all costs. The conservancy project Leah dreamed of was now collateral damage. The board vote loomed in 10 days. Sophia's polling showed her ahead by a narrow margin, but Marcus was rallying conservative investors with talk of moral decay. Leah had stopped answering texts, throwing herself into the gardens as if the dirt could heal the rift. Sophia watched from the window as Leah worked, her heart heavy with the knowledge that her next move would widen the chasm. At the family brunch on Sunday, the tension peaked. Marcus announced he was filing a formal challenge to the will, citing undue influence. Leah has no place here. She's not family, she's staff. Emily looked uncomfortable, but stayed silent. Sophia stood, voice ice-cold. Grandfather saw what you refused to. Leah's my partner. The will stands. It was the first time she'd said the words aloud in front of them. The declaration felt like both victory and defeat. Leah, invited under the will's pressure, sat quietly at the far end of the table. After the meal, she pulled Sophia aside in the hallway. You finally said it. But only because it served your vote. Do you even hear yourself anymore? Sophia grabbed her hand. I'm fighting for us. For the life we could have once I win. Leah's eyes filled with tears. The life you want doesn't include me as an equal. It includes me as a trophy once the power is secure. She walked away, leaving Sophia alone with the echo of her own ambition. That evening Sophia reviewed the development plans again. Clearing the rose garden for the new wing would generate millions in revenue and lock in the final board votes. She approved the paperwork, signing with a steady hand even as her stomach twisted. The decision was logical. Short-term loss for long-term control. The effect was immediate. The next morning Leah received official notice that her primary project area was being reallocated for construction. The confrontation came at dusk in the greenhouse. You sold my garden, Leah said, voice breaking. The one place that was ours. Sophia didn't flinch. It's temporary. Once I'm CEO, we rebuild bigger. This secures our future. Leah laughed bitterly. Our future? Or yours? I can't do this anymore, sophomore. I love you, but I won't be sacrificed on the altar of Harrington Global. She left the greenhouse without looking back. Sophia stood among the orchids, the scent suddenly cloying. The betrayal was complete, but the company was safe. Marcus's challenge collapsed the next day when the board saw the new revenue projections. With the vote only 48 hours away, Sophia's position was nearly unassailable. The press had shifted from scandal to admiration for her principled stand on the will. Marcus was isolated, his political allies distancing themselves. Yet victory tasted like ash. Leah had moved permanently to the guest cottage and refused all contact. Sophia threw herself into final preparations, but every quiet moment brought the memory of Leah's hurt eyes. On the morning of the vote, Sophia received an unexpected visitor. Leah, dressed in simple jeans and a blouse, no trace of the gardener uniform. "I'm leaving Seattle," she said quietly. "The Conservancy Board in Portland offered me a lead position. It's time." Sophia's heart lurched. "Don't. After the vote today, everything changes. I'll announce us publicly. We'll rebuild the garden together." Leah shook her head. "You already chose. Every decision, pushing me aside, selling the roses, delaying the truth, was for the company. I can't compete with that." She placed a small envelope on the desk. "My resignation from the estate. Effective immediately." Sophia reached for her, but Leah stepped back. "I love you enough to let you have the empire you sacrificed everything for." She walked out, leaving the door open like a final question. The board meeting that afternoon was a formality. Sophia won the CEO position by a landslide. Applause filled the room, but she felt hollow. Marcus conceded with a tight smile, but the family rift was permanent. He announced he was starting his own firm. Emily hugged her sister, whispering, "You got what you wanted." But had she? That night Sophia stood alone in the now empty master bedroom. The envelope contained Leah's resignation and a single rose petal from their first garden. The cause and effect chain was undeniable. Each calculated step for power had stripped away the one thing that made the power worth having. The empire was hers, but the woman she loved was gone. Sophia spent the following weeks consolidating power. New deals closed, stock soared, and the board praised her vision. She approved the construction that swallowed the rose garden, telling herself it was necessary. Yet every evening she walked the paths Leah had tended, the absence louder than any boardroom victory. Marcus had left for New York, taking several key clients with him, an irreparable loss to the family name. Emily visited less, the forced acceptance of Leah as daughter-in-law now a bitter reminder of division. 1 month after the vote, Sophia received a letter from Portland. Leah's conservancy project was thriving. She had found peace. The note was short. "I hope the empire was worth it. I still love you, but I had to choose myself." Sophia folded it carefully, placing it beside the family portrait. Her grandfather's eyes no longer judged, they pitted. In the end she had survived the power struggle. The company was stronger, the rivals defeated. But the woman who had grounded her was gone, and no amount of shares could fill the void. The cold decisions had secured the throne, yet the crown felt empty. Sophia stood on the balcony overlooking the altered gardens, the city lights of Seattle glittering below. Ambition had won. Love had paid the price. Was Sophia's calculated betrayal of Leah's trust ultimately the only way to protect their future together? Or was it the irreversible mistake that destroyed the very love the will tried to save? True or false?